Sketching functions. They should be easy marks in the final exam because it usually appears on a paper 2, so you will have the use of a calculator. But for some unknown reason, students always seem to lose marks. Examiners are very stringent when marking this type of question. So let's go through a typical exam question and see what you should do and what you should not do. So sketch the graph of the function f of x equals 7x squared minus 3 all over 2e to the x for the range of values x between 0 and 6. So if you look at the graph paper that you've been given, first thing you should notice, we must not draw anything left of the y-axis. We must also not draw anything right of x equals 6. We can see what it looks like, but when we are actually sketching the graph, we must not draw any of these points. When going through, we also need to note the important points of the graph, which are 1. The y-intercepts, 2. Any zeros, remember they are the x-intercepts, 3. Any maximums or minimums, and 4. The values for the endpoints. In this case, what are the endpoints for x equals 0 and x equals 6? Open a graphs page on the GDC and type in your function. Whenever you type in a quotient, use brackets. So open your brackets. So we've got 7x squared minus 3. Come out of your brackets. Divide. Open a new set of brackets. So we've got 2. Make sure you use the E function key and not the letter E. To the power of x. I like to come out of the brackets. Press enter. And there is your graph. I like to change my window so it looks like the graph paper I've been given. So I'm going to go to menu, window zoom, window settings. So I'm going to go my x values from minus 2 to just past 6.7. I'm going to go my y values from minus 4 to 4. Press OK. So there is my new window. Get rid of the function so it's not in the way. Now we need to find all the important points. So I like to use the trace key. So I'm going to trace the graph and use the keys so I can trace all the way. So I'll go right, so now let's trace to the right hand side, and the first thing I get is the y-intercept, which is at 0 minus 1.5. Make a note of that, you'll need it later. Keep tracing, and it tells us one of the zeros, which is at 0.655. Keep tracing, and it should next tell us the maximum. There's a maximum at 2.2, 1.71, and now we need to keep going, and I want to get to 6, and so I know exactly when I'm at 6, I can just type in 6 and then press enter, and it gives me the value 6.0.6. 0.0309. Now I have all the relevant information noted, so I can now go and sketch the graph. Now I can transfer all the relevant information to my graph and then sketch the graph accurately. So the first thing, my y-intercept is at 0 minus 1.5, mark that point on. Now put in my 0, which is at 0.6550. Well, I can't draw that absolutely accurately, but approximately there. Then my maximum is at 2.2, 1.71, about there. And then I've got my value at x equals 6 at 0.030. So it doesn't quite come down. So my graph goes up through my 0, up to my maximum, and then starts to come down and finishes there. Make sure it does not go through. I'm going to redraw that because it's not as accurate as I want it. So there, that's a little more accurate there. And that is a good representation for the sketch of my function f of x equals 7x squared minus 3 all over 2e to the x.